MOZA are probably best known for their budget direct drive wheelbases. However, MOZA have recently relaunched their flagship model, the R21. Along with this, they have sent us the FSR Formula Rim, the HGP Shifter and the CRP Pedals, all of their top of the range gear. Now let's see what they're made of. Let's start with MOZA's direct drive flagship wheelbase, the R21, so named because of course it produces 21 Newton meters of force. This strength, along with the price at nearly £1,200, aims it at only the elite sim racer or the most dedicated of hobbyists. And of course for that price you'd be expecting quality, and that you do get. Quality in terms of looks, I mean, I think it looks excellent. The black shiny plastic with the matte on top and then the yellowy green highlights. And also the feel is very, very premium. Every surface, every material used feels great, and that's exactly what you'd expect. Once you have taken receipt of your MOZA wheelbase, you will be looking to mount it on your rig. And that is done by the 4 mounting holes underneath the wheelbase, using the bolts that are of course provided by MOZA. Although I must say no washers were included with these. I think that would be a nice addition, especially for a premium product that produces 21 Newton meters of force. Now, you might as well have noticed that this wheelbase is actually quite compact. It's not particularly big and definitely smaller than a lot of its powerful compatriots in this top of the range end of the market. This is definitely an advantage in terms of space on your rig, and I found I could actually move my monitors closer and further down to exactly where I wanted them with this wheelbase. There is also a mounting option to be mounted from the sides, but that is via MOZA's additional side mounting kit, which costs £59. But what is it like to drive? Well, you'll be glad to hear that it is excellent. I love this wheelbase, and it gives you all of the detailed textures and information you need from the road. Probably one of the most detailed force feedbacks I have driven out of any wheel. I could feel the curbs, the bumps, and I really felt connected to the car that I was driving, no matter if it was a GT style, Formula style, or prototype. Not only do you get good feedback, but it's strong feedback. Of course, with 21 Newton meters, that is more than anyone can really realistically handle. When I first got it, I turned it up to 100 just to see what it was made of, and I genuinely couldn't hold on. In the corners, I was at the limit of my strength, and down the straights, unfortunately, was with all direct drive wheelbases, the shaking was too much. And I ended up finding that I was settled around 60% force feedback, so that probably takes us to about 12, 13 Newton meters, and that felt excellent for me. For longer stints, I probably would have turned it down to just below 50, but even at these lower percentages, I thought the detail was excellent, and I absolutely love the feeling I get from this wheelbase. As always, the force feedback with MOZA wheels is easily adjusted using the MOZA Pithouse software. We've been over this in our review of the R5 bundle and the MOZA R9, and it works exactly the same with a few extra little tweaks for the R21 wheelbase. There's a few issues with the translations, with the explanations of what each force feedback measure does, but once you have a play with it, it's very easy to find a setting that you like, especially considering MOZA have given you some presets there for different types of car as well. The force feedback you get from the MOZA R21 wheelbase is exactly what you expect for this premium price. I love the force feedback. It's probably one of my favorite wheelbases I've ever tried, and if I had 1,200 quid spare, I'd probably be looking at getting this wheelbase. I felt connected to the road. I felt what the car was doing. I could feel what the tires were doing. And the most important thing for me is sliding, either understeer or oversteer. I felt like I could feel it coming before it actually happened, and it just gave me a huge amount of confidence. And I've actually done a couple of races on iRacing with this wheel, and they've been some of the most successful races that I have ever done. I really enjoyed the force feedback that it gives you, and I think MOZA have done an excellent job in the way they've set up the software to communicate the wheelbase feelings. My only reservation with the MOZA R21 wheelbase is the fact that I didn't really use all of the force feedback all of the time. Now, MOZA do sell an R16 wheelbase for almost £200 less than this. And if that unit has the same circuitry and the same hardware as this, and it can give the same detailed all-round force feedback experience as the R21, then I feel like that's a better value option for most people. Overall, I absolutely love the MOZA R21 wheelbase. The force feedback is excellent, highly detailed, felt great in the road. I felt like I knew what it was going to do, and I had, of course, all the adjustment I needed within the MOZA Pithouse software. But not only does it feel great, it looks great. It's a great package and well worth the high price tag of £1,200, and is compatible with all of the MOZA wheels, including the FSR wheel. The FSR is MOZA's premium steering wheel with the customary carbon fiber finish, excellent quality buttons and rotaries, and a 4.3-inch screen. It comes very well packaged in a MOZA branded bag and includes plenty of stickers for you to customize your wheel so that you know exactly what every button and dial does. We absolutely loved the GS wheel when we previously reviewed it. The quality was excellent and this wheel is no different. The same carbon fiber finish, the buttons are excellent and feel great, they're well placed, and there's plenty of them. One of the great things about all MOZA wheels is the excellent encoders and rotary switches, which are pressable on the side here for the thumb rotaries, and these switches, they just feel great. We love the shifters and they have an excellent and very satisfying click to them, and the analog paddles are very useful and easily programmable in the software. The keyboard style buttons feel great and also are very well placed. The quick release is also the same and gives you a completely solid attachment to your wheelbase. The difference with the FSR wheel is the diameter. Previously, we mentioned that the GS wheel was slightly too wide for some of the wheelbases at 300mm. This wheel is 280mm across, so slightly wider than the Fanatec's Formula style rim, but narrower than the GS wheel, and I think this is absolutely the Goldilocks zone for width. From the moment I clamped it onto the rig and attached it using the quick release, it felt right at home in my hands. I love the placement of the buttons and the grips feel excellent. They're ergonomically shaped, well placed, and your thumbs fit through the gaps. The grips themselves are now perforated leather as opposed to the GS's Alcantara. So hopefully this should mean that these hold up a bit better, are a bit more durable, and stay looking crisp for longer. The grip was excellent, both with gloves and without gloves, and I just love the overall shape of the wheel, and it feels great in the hand. I've used this wheel quite extensively over the last week or so, including some quite long stints at higher force feedback, and I have had no issues in terms of cramping in my hands, soreness, blisters, or anything like that. I think the shape of the grips, the use of the new leather, and also the size of the wheel is perfect, and I absolutely love using this wheel for a number of different cars and sims. Now moving on to the main difference between this, the FSR, and the previously reviewed GS wheel, and that is of course the 4.3-inch display screen. The screen itself is excellent. 4.3 inches is a great size and it's well placed on the wheel right where you would expect it. And you can adjust the brightness from very, very bright right down to quite dim depending on your ambient environment. I love the fact that it is crisp and sharp and I can read even the smallest details and text on the wheel as part of the 15 user interfaces included with the MOZA Pithouse software. And you've got many different options, right from just a gear all the way up to all the information you could ever need, including traction control information, tire information, track information, lap times, delta, you name it, there is a screen for you. And they're all good looking and you can switch between them on the fly using the paddle and the right stick to flick between them. There is one small bug that I found with iRacing, which is that the screen wouldn't update unless you swapped between screens once the car was on circuit, but that was easily done. And the only other annoying thing is to change between the screens without having to open the Pithouse software, you had to pull the paddle and then navigate using the D-pad. And of course, if you have the paddles assigned as your clutch, then if you're going down the straight, the clutch will engage. So hopefully MOZA will allow a different option there in the future. The eagle-eyed amongst you will have noticed there is a port on the back of this wheel at the bottom. Now included in the box is a cable that allows you to plug this wheel into MOZA's universal hub, which then connects directly to a PC. What this means is that if you buy the £15 universal hub adapter, you can use this wheel with any wheelbase from any manufacturer, be it Fanatec, Simucube, or whatever, and this wheel can be a standalone product on its own, and I think that is a massive deal. And at £570, it's potentially one of the best value wheels with a screen there is. Most similar quality aftermarket wheels with a screen cost upwards of £1,000. And this wheel at £570 could be an excellent option if you want an upgrade to your wheelbase, even if you don't have a MOZA wheelbase already. One thing we have come to learn about MOZA as a company, which is a massive strength, is that they listen to their customers in terms of constructive criticism. And I only have one piece of constructive criticism about the FSR wheel, and more specifically the screen itself. Currently, the screen is only accessible using the MOZA Pithouse software, which means that no third-party software can access this screen, whether it's connected directly to a MOZA wheelbase or whether it's connected via USB to your PC natively. This wheel is compatible with PC only, and the elite sim racers or dedicated hobbyists want to be able to create their own dashes or use their favorite dashes on a wheel such as this. And without that ability, this wheel cannot reach its full potential. So I hope that this is available for the MOZA FSR wheel in future. Now moving on to MOZA's top of the range CRP pedals, which retail at £459 plus VAT. I think they're a great looking pedal set and comes as standard with 3 individual pedals, the throttle, the brake and the clutch, each with their own actuation mechanisms. The clutch has a 3-stage mechanism, the brake a 2-stage spring and damper, and the throttle a standard pedal which is adjustable. All 3 pedals are adjustable in throw, angle and strength, and of course there are many adjustments available via the Pithouse software as well. The pedals come included with a heel plate and base so that you can attach it onto almost any rig, and attaching it onto 2 rigs that we tried here were absolutely fine. As we've come to expect from MOZA, each individual pedal was wrapped in its own MOZA branded bag, and overall the whole lot was packaged excellently. Also included in the box was all of the mounting hardware, including bolts and Allen keys to attach this pedal set to your rig and assemble it. MOZA, we thank you. When we first took delivery of these pedals, I was extremely excited to try them out. Most notably because they felt so high quality in my hand and they look amazing. I love the black anodized finish with the polished metal highlights on the pedal faces and in the pedal bodies themselves. The pedals were easily attached to the base and of course the heel plate too, and then bolted straight on your rig and away you go. The instructions themselves were pretty minimal. It was very easy to put them together, with most of the nuts and bolts having pre-drilled holes, and everything went together as you would expect. The only issue came when I did eventually get round to wanting to adjust the braking feel with the spring and damper. There wasn't much information in the instructions, and I had to head over to Barry Rowland's channel at the Sim Racing Garage to see how he did it, and that is one of the major drawbacks of these pedals compared to some of their competitors. They are very, very fiddly to change anything really. Every single adjustment requires you to get some tools out, whereas most other pedals in the market nowadays have some sort of easy adjustment. The pedal plate itself is well designed and made out of 1 sheet of aluminium that's then bolted and welded together, and the pedals can be attached individually to that in one of 3 different orientations. These pedals are highly adjustable and one of the main draws of their design. Each pedal face is adjustable in terms of angle, with undoing a nut at the back allows the pedal face to move backwards and forwards. You can also move the clutch and brake as well. You can move their faces left and right by undoing the bolts on the face, moving them over and redoing those up. Each pedal as well has 3 different options for where you mount to its mechanism, meaning that you can change the throw and the strength of the pedal. The brake has a number of different dampers and 2 different springs to adjust its feel, and also the throttle and clutch, you can adjust the strength of those as well. You can also choose the orientation of the pedals. You can have the standard ABC layout as you've got here, or you can just have a throttle and a brake with 2 options for the brake, either slightly staggered to the left or all the way over to the left hand side for left foot braking if you take the clutch off completely. The brains of the pedal are housed within the brake unit. The clutch and throttle are attached to these using little plugs, and a USB-B to USB-A cable is needed to get the information from the pedals to your PC, where you can then adjust everything even more detail in the MOZA Pithouse software. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to adjust the pedal face angles using the provided tools in the box because the nuts were done up so tight and the spanners included were too soft to be able to do them up, so they just slipped off. So if you want to adjust these pedal faces, you'll need to have your own tools. Now on to driving with these pedals, and the throttle and clutch behaved exactly as I expected. The throttle has a nice throw. The stop is quite loud. There's no dampening or rubber stop there, but it feels great. Everything is smooth and quiet. The clutch itself has a specific mechanism which makes it feel like it actually has a bite point, and you can adjust the strength of this and of course the throw using the mechanism attaching to the pedal itself. The brake was my least favorite part of this pedal set, and unfortunately the brake is of course the most important pedal in terms of lap time, consistency and driving feel. I didn't really like the feel I got from this brake. With the spring and elastomer in series, I felt like the first half of the travel was taken up by the spring, and only then would the elastomer really engage, and it was a 2-stage braking feel. I did mess around with the 2 different spring strengths and the 4 different elastomers, and no matter what I did, I couldn't get a natural feeling, especially in the most important part of the braking where you're coming off the brakes to trail brake into the corner. At this part of the braking phase, I felt like the spring did all of the work, and it just felt like any normal spring brake without a load cell, which is really disappointing. And not to mention that to change the elastomer in the spring is quite complicated, it takes a long time, and you need a lot of tools, so it's not a quick change in and change out like a lot of pedal sets are these days. Of course, this is only my opinion, and from what I've seen online, I don't share the same opinion as some of the other creators who love this brake pedal. But I can only speak from my experience with trying many other pedal sets from different brands, and also I've I've got quite a bit of real world racing experience, and I've never had a brake that feels quite like this, and even with the adjustability, I couldn't get it to suit my driving style. On top of the lack of feeling and confidence this brake gave me, there was also a bit of a squeak from where the elastomer was rubbing, and unfortunately this gave a bit of a yucky feeling to the braking when you were braking on threshold. Some other pedal manufacturers, such as Logitech, they include a little pot of grease and tell you where to apply it if there is any squeaking, but unfortunately with our set we didn't receive anything like that, although from watching other reviews it seemed like some other reviewers did receive this, and this would have helped and potentially made the whole brake feel a bit more natural. Overall, I was left a little disappointed with the MOZA CRP pedals, especially considering how excited I was to try them when I first got them out of the box, because I think they're an excellent looking pedal set and they're really high quality. But unfortunately with the SRP Lite and now the CRP pedals, we're always finding that they're just slightly lacking behind. So that is one area MOZA can definitely improve, and hopefully we'll see some more excellent pedal sets in the future from MOZA. From a slight negative in terms of the CRP pedals, I introduced to you the MOZA HGP Shifter, MOZA's first attempt at a shifter, and TLDR, they've absolutely smashed it. The HGP is genuinely the best feeling H-pattern shifter I have tried. The compact and sturdy anodized aluminium casing houses an absolute beast of a shifter unit with some of the most positive clunks and clicks that I have ever felt. So clunky in fact that it actually set off my dogs thinking there was someone at the front door when I first used it. This unit is rock solid and a complete pleasure to use. The gates are perfectly separated, the throw is excellent, and it feels like a real racing car, with 7 forward gears and 7th and reverse needing a downward press to be engaged. The internals are protected by some high quality leather, and the knob feels great in your hand. Mounting this to your rig is easy and done via the channels on the flanges of the base. It is worth noting, however, there is no side mounting option available at this time. Included in the box, you get a USB-B to USB-A cable to connect directly to your PC, or alternatively a springy Ethernet style cable to attach to a universal MOZA hub if you have one. When I first tested out this shifter, I was extremely impressed. The feeling and confidence it gave me was excellent and the immersion is great. But I was even more impressed when I found out the price. £139 plus VAT is an absolute steal. And if you're looking for an H-pattern shifter, look no further. I've heard some other reviewers making noises about the fact that this cannot be used as a sequential shifter, unlike offerings from Fanatec and Thrustmaster. However, this isn't designed for that. This is an H-pattern shifter, and for £139, you really can't go wrong. And knowing MOZA, I'm sure there's a sequential shifter in the works somewhere that will be released shortly, and if it's anywhere near as good as this, we're in for an absolute treat. And so that concludes our MOZA top of the range review, including the MOZA R21, the recently re-released top of the range flagship wheelbase from MOZA with all of the detail and force you could ever need. The FSR wheel that hopefully in the future will have some software upgrades to reach its full potential. The CRP pedals, a high quality pedal set, but unfortunately in our opinion, a slightly disappointing brake feeling. And finally, the exceptional HGP shifter, and for only £139 plus VAT, you can't go wrong. If this has convinced you to buy one of these products or all of them, let us know in the comments. And if you have one of these products at home and agree with what I've said, or maybe have a differing opinion, also let us know below. And while you're down there, consider giving us a like and subscribe for more product reviews coming very shortly. As always, have a great day, thanks for watching, and keep it pinned.